Welcome everyone to today's live session. We are still reviewing the book The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. In the previous episode, we saw where he talked about people's experiences, how this determines how they spend money. Chapter 1 starts to is no one's crazy, so you shouldn't look at someone and say the decision he made was a crazy one. People made financial decision and people make financial decisions till date based on their experiences, where they grew up, what happened during their time, and all of that. I do not have to agree with everything he has said in this book. However, some of them are wise. So he just explained the facts that people basically make decisions based on their experiences. So you shouldn't say anyone is crazy. So now let's go to chapter 2, where he talked about luck and risk. These were the things he talked about majorly in this chapter. He talks about Bill Gates especially. He talked about Bill Gates. Bill Gates had exceptional ability, but he also had a 1 in a million shot at attending one of the only schools with a computer in 1968, right? So he just explained how who started the school, how Bill Gates, out of 300 million kids in the world, right? He was in just that place. 300 students in a school, they had access to a computer. He talked about Paul Allen, he talked about Kent and Bill Gates. I think Kent actually died later, but the odds were there mainly for Gates, right? So he said, I read, and unlike Paul Allen, Kent shared Bill's business mind and endless ambition. Kent always had the big briefcase, like a lawyer's briefcase. So they were always together. Bill Gates was always together with Kent in that school. They both attended the school together, and their school was one of the only school that had computers. It was actually Lakeside School then in Seattle. So he had some level of luck, according to the writer in this book. Bill Gates was lucky to an extent. So he said, I read, luck and risk are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individuals' effort. He just talks about luck, how some people are lucky. Some persons take the same risk others took, and then they have different results, bad results. So he said, I read, they are so similar. Luck and risk are so similar that you can't believe in one without equally respecting the other. They both happen because the world is too complex to allow 100% of your actions to dictate 100% of your outcome. So they are driven by the same thing. So you can't say, oh, everything I'm doing right now, the hard work I'm putting in, definitely I'm going to have this positive result. He just talks about luck. Some persons can be lucky. That's just his own POV. I don't think, in my own perspective, I don't think I'll totally agree with that. When we reviewed the book by Beverly Jones, of course, she spoke about the 80 to 20% rule. Whatever you put 100% effort into, you are definitely going to get 20% results. So, but here, Morgan Housel is having a different school of thought. He even talked about Mark Zuckerberg in this same chapter. So we similarly think Mark Zuckerberg is a genius for turning down Yahoo 2006 $1 billion offer to buy his company. He saw the future and stuck to his gun. So we think he's actually smart. But same Yahoo, actually, according to him in the book, they criticized them for turning down Microsoft's offer. Right? That's because at the end of the day, they were not lucky, according to him. They took the risk, but they were not lucky. So luck and risk plays hand in hand. I don't think I agree with that totally. Here in the slide I wrote, some smart people fail not because they were stupid, but because they were exposed to a bad outcome that was out of their control. So some outcomes are out of control. Failure isn't always a character flaw. They were just unlucky. Be humble when you win, be kind when others win. So in this chapter, I just talked about the fact that it's true luck that some persons get to win and some persons get to achieve what they achieve that others start giving kudos to. Then in chapter 3, he talks about never enough. The biggest financial mistake is not knowing when enough is enough. He talks about several examples here. I think the major one that he um emphasized was Gupta. What Gupta and Madov did is something different. They already had, so he just talked about Gupta. I think he had an insider information regarding a trade, and then Madov, I think, was basically into Ponzi scheme. So he just explained the fact that no matter the amount of money you have, is insatiable. You would always want more. You would always want to get more. You would always want to access more. So money is never enough. Remember the title of this book, The Psychology of Money. How money works, how it's, how to think when they say money. It's never enough, right? He just talked about it. So if you need 10 million right now, when you get 10 million, you need 100 million. When you got 100 million, you still see that there are still levels to this shit and you need more. Even when you get 1 trillion, you still need more. For instance, I think what happened when Elon Musk launched SpaceX rockets to meet the astronauts, what happened later? Jeff Bezos had to create, was it Green Horizon or something? He had a company similar to that where he said he needed to also go to space. Elon Musk launching Settler. Jeff Bezos also acquired an electric car company. So you would never be satisfied according to him. So he just said if you are one of those people that are not always satisfied, these are few things to do. The hardest financial skill is getting the good post to stop moving. Social comparison is the problem. Usually enough is not too little, so you would never be satisfied here. So I highlighted in this particular slide social comparison trap. The goalpost keeps moving, right? More money means a new lifestyle, and new lifestyle means new wants. It never stops. You always need it. Greed destroys faster than poverty. Husserl says, according to him in this book, that people lose what they already built by risking it more. Enough protects you. Greed exposes you, just like the examples he gave in this book, Madoff and Gupta. Gupta sounds like an Indian name. So basically, Gupta, I think Gupta was the founder of McKinsey, the major stakeholder. He got extremely rich around the early 2000s, but then one greed mistake made him exposed. So the hardest financial skill is learning to be satisfied. I don't know if I agree with this. Because actually, you can never be satisfied and you should always need more. If not, you are going to just be old taker. 3 lessons from chapter 1 and 3, as I highlighted, right? Your background shapes your mind about money, according to him. Nobody's crazy. Everyone acts based on the world they experience, based on what is around them. So me, I personally believe if you want to change that, definitely you should expose yourself. We have the internet to make you exposed, right? And maybe sometime we travel. Chapter 2 talked about luck and risk. Beyond your success, according to him, you were actually lucky because what are the odds, right? In a world of more than 7 billion people, why were you so lucky, and why do you think what you are doing is actually going to make you get the result that you want? So we're actually just lucky. So when you see some persons, do not feel they were not hardworking because they actually put in the work, but they were not just lucky. I totally do not believe in that though. Chapter 3 talks about having enough. Knowing enough is financial wisdom. When you get to some point, just say this is enough. If you don't control your behavior with money, no amount of income will ever be enough. So I think that'll be all for chapter 1 and 2. We are going to move to next chapters in the next session. Thank you so much for joining in, and until we meet again in the next session. have a great day reading the next chapters.